Coucou, je m'appelle Maria, j'ai 22 ans, je suis colombienne e il y a 12 ans j'habite em France. Na Colômbia, eu estudei Administração de Negócios Internacionais na Universidade do Rosário e depois eu vim para a França. Aqui hice un máster en Administración Global y luego hice mi práctica profesional en el sector de la tecnología en París. Dans ce moment, je travaille dans le domaine du marketing et de recrutement pour campus. Acerca de mí es muy importante mencionar que mi familia es muy importante para mí et que dans ce moment je suis très très passionnée par la diversité et l'inclusion e eu acordo todos os dias como objetivo de trazer mais e mais mulheres no mundo da tecnologia. I am Maria Paula and I'm a polyglot.
Welcome back to Women in Talk. In today's episode, we're going to have Maria Paula, my dear friend from Colombia, and she's going to share her experience on learning languages. So, for everyone who is curious on being a polyglot, stay tuned. Hi, Maria.
Hello!
How are you?
Very good, and you?
I'm good, thank you. Please introduce yourself with all the language that you've known.
Coucou, je m'appelle Maria, j'ai 22 ans, je suis colombienne et il y a 12 ans j'habite en France. Na Colômbia, eu estudei Administração de Negócios Internacionais na Universidade do Rosário e depois eu vim para a França. Aqui hice un máster en Administración de Negocios Globales en la Escuela de Comercio de Rennes y luego hice mi práctica profesional en el sector de la tecnología en París. Dans ce moment, je travaille dans le domaine du marketing pour le recrutement et le recrutement de campus. Je peux dire aussi que dans ce moment, je suis très passionnée par la diversité et l'inclusion. E todos os dias eu acordo como objetivo de trazer mais e mais mulheres na tecnologia. Gracias otra vez, Kanisha, por invitarme a ser parte de tu proyecto. So just for rephrasing everything I just said in English, I was telling a bit about my background. So I am 22 years old. I am from Colombia. And I came to France 2 years ago for doing a Master of Science in Global Business Management. Currently, I am working in recruitment marketing and campus recruitment in a company that is called Datadog in the domain of technology. And I was just mentioning as well that I am passionate about diversity and inclusion, and that I always wake up every day with the ultimate goal of bringing more and more women to technology.
Okay, nice one. And so, how many languages do you speak and what are they?
So I will say that I speak fluently 4 languages. So Spanish, that it's my native language, English, Portuguese, and French. I will
Okay.
say that there. Yeah.
So, when did you start learning Portuguese, French, and English?
Okay, so I will say that I started learning English when I was around 7 years old. My parents were always very interested that my brother and I had like a second language, that of course English will be like the most important of them. So I started at school and I really never realized like the moment when I learned English. It just came naturally, because that usually happens when you're a kid. After that, when I started university, I actually, my bachelor degree required to choose a third language. So I was just like very interested about Portuguese because I really think it's like a beautiful language and I really like even more like the Brazilian accent specifically. So I chose Portuguese at school. I remember that I took one course in the university, but after that I just continued by myself and I found an institute for learning and I had like 2 years classes during 2 years every weekend from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. So it was very, very intensive. And after that, I did just like the exam for certificating my level. So that's actually how I got to learn Portuguese. And for French, it was actually when I arrived here in France for my master's. Before arriving, I didn't know a word of French, but I was very, very motivated for learning. And it was very frustrating for me, like hearing people around me speaking French and me not being able to understand a word of French, even if I knew the bases like bonjour uh, and stuff like that. It
Okay.
was really frustrating. So that's how I got like very motivated. And yep, I will say that's pretty much it.
Okay. So why are you interested actually learning the language? Because I think without passion or curiosity, you would not be able to speak fluently, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. I will say that first of all, the advantages of learning foreign languages are mushrooming as the world becomes like increasingly globalized, and bilingualism is now like perhaps the most useful real world skill to
Mm-hmm.
ever exist according to my perspective. So I actually consider fascinating the capacity of adapting yourself to others rather than expecting others to adapt or accommodate to my monolingualism, you know. So for instance, for example, I just chose to start my life in France, far away from my people, from my country. I have a bunch of friends coming from different parts of the world, for example, like Indonesia. um, my boyfriend is French and he does not speak a word of Spanish. So I think that if you actually choose to live a life like that, you need to go outside, like outside your comfort zone, and really focused in trying to learn something new. And I don't know if you have heard about it, but there's a famous saying that claims that actually having a second language is like possessing a second soul. So I really consider that you can have a different personality according to the language that you're speaking, and
Exactly.
it's actually my case. I will say that when I speak Spanish, for example, I have a personality that is way more like a big character and everything. I'm like, I don't know, it's different that when, for example, I speak French because it's not my mother tongue and I just cannot express the same way that I would do it in Spanish, even if I get to a level of fluency, a very high level of fluency, you know. So I yeah, I will say that it's why I really consider it's important. I just love the capacity to adapt to others and to discover new cultures. I just think that learning foreign languages is the only way to really getting to know a culture. You will never completely get to know a certain culture that you're interested in without mastering the language. So that is why I consider it's important, and that is why I'm passionate about it.
I really agree with the saying that you said earlier. Like, so now you have four different identity, Maria. No?
Different identities,
But
yeah.
so how do you learn it? Do you have any tips on learning language, and whether do you have a specific method to learn the language?
Okay, so I will not speak about English, for example, because as I already said, it came pretty natural because I was a kid, and you know, kids they have the capacity to learn quite fast without even realizing. But for example, for my Portuguese, first of all, I was really interested. It was something that I choose to do. First of all, I will say that if you really want to become good at something, it has to be something that you like, and that you really enjoy. So that's the most important thing when starting to learn a language. You can start with some like the, I don't know, even if it's Indonesian, and if you really want to learn Indonesian, you have to like it. So that's the thing. I chose Portuguese first of all. I took very intensive courses, but I will say what actually helped me learning was reading books. I start learning books, like really tons of books, for being able to actually get the fancy and hard vocabulary that you will not be able to get taking courses, first of all. So I read a ton of books. I start listening to music in Portuguese, and I also watch a lot of videos on YouTube of like Brazilian influencers and stuff. Even if it's not about an interesting subject, I really like advise people to look for something they really enjoy, whether it's travel, whether it's food, whether it's fashion or something like that. You should just like look for something that really passionates you, and look it for in like in the language that you are really looking forward to speak and to become fluent in. So that was like my strategy while learning Portuguese. And with French, actually, I was really obsessed with learning French when I arrived in France. I
Okay.
think you are actually a witness of that, Kanisha.
Yeah,
And I would say that it's very funny in my case because the first person that helped me learning French, it was actually you. So when you have an Indonesian girl teaching French to a Colombian girl, that's not something that happens every day. But you were actually the yeah the one that helped me to first start learning French basis, and you were very excited about learning Spanish as well. So we would just exchange knowledge while having fun, which is something very cool as well. uh, and after that I really like challenges. I am a woman that really enjoys like challenge in general. So I was like, yeah, okay, I am going to learn French no matter what. I always wanted to be with French people. I listen to music only in French. I only watch Netflix series or movies in French, everything in French, because I was like obsessed. And when I start getting a good level, I will say that I was lucky as well because my boyfriend is French. So when you meet someone that you speak like 24/7 with in another language, you will get and ramp up in the language quite easily, to be honest. But still, we started our relationship speaking in English. And after that, when he noticed that I completely understand everything in French, we just completely switched to French. So right now we just speak in French. And that's something that helped me a lot. So yeah, that was it. That's my experience with the different languages. Because I really consider that you can get good basis and a good level just learning by yourself, even if you are not living in a country that is speaking the language. It just depends on you and how you are like your motivation on doing it. So it's not important if you are not surrounded by people that will speak all the time the language that you're learning, but just like your motivation and if you really want to do it.
it's true. It's the motivation. Yeah. Maybe actually the environment will facilitate and make it easier, but without motivation, it won't be anything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that's I think that applies not only to learning languages but to everything you do in life. You want to do something, you just need to be motivated about it. So yeah.
What's the benefit or like the downside when you learn languages? However, you actually already mentioned, but maybe you could share a bit more.
To be honest with you, I really can't say any like downside of learning languages. To be honest, I was thinking about it, but I really cannot mention even one. I really consider that speaking foreign languages, it's like just perks in your life. First of all, I will say that maintaining and reinforcing relationships with people, it's the most important part of it. When you, for example, with you, Kanesha, when we start sharing like French knowledge and Spanish knowledge, and then we just will communicate in English, we really managed to get to know a bit more of each other culture. Even if I, for example, I remember that you sometimes like teach me as well some Indonesian words and everything. So that's actually the way when you start reinforcing a relationship with someone. For me, according to my point of view, even more when the like it's someone that it's not from your hometown. I will say, we're saying you have a different soul according to the language you're speaking. So getting to meet someone in their native language will allow you to meet the real soul of that person, if you know what I mean. So that's why I
Okay.
consider it important that to try to at least know a bit of the language of the mother tongue of the people of the person that you want to maintain a relationship with, so that you can actually manage to understand the real soul and the real way of being. I also consider that languages actually improve your professional and business opportunities always. You're going to be better paid if you speak. The more languages you speak, the more money you are going to earn. That's for sure. I don't have a doubt about it. So if you want to like start with your own business, um, actually learning new languages will just open new markets to you and new ways of seeing things actually, and how to, for example, start with a new product in another country. If you manage to speak the language and you understand the culture, you will for sure succeed in another country, for example. So I really consider that it's something very important to your professional side as well.
Okay.
And I will say that as well, like the brain, just like your body, needs as well like to exercise every day. And it is proven that actually learning languages will just like help your brain to stay healthy and to yeah, to really just like good exercise every day, just like when you work out, but for your brain. Learning languages is the best way to maintain your brain working, and just like uh yeah, just like capabilities, longer attention. It's just making healthier your brain. So
I see.
I consider that.
I see. But don't you notice, like, when you speak several languages, somehow you could guess a word. For example, now I'm not as fluent in Spanish, but sometimes I could just guess. Or like now I'm currently watching Turkish series drama, and somehow I could just, okay, I think this one means this, or. Don't you feel like that as well? Like you already know.
Of course, that happens when you already have like a previous knowledge of certain structures. So for example, for me it was easier learning French than for you at that time, because French and Spanish were way more closer than Indonesian and French, for example. So
Exactly.
when you get that chance of your mother tongue being near to the language you're learning, your brain it's able to, like you said, guess the meaning of something, um, just like find the word and the meaning because of the context that you are in at the moment. So it's actually your brain in general is quite amazing, and it's able to do like wonderful stuff. As I just told you, it's really just because of how lucky I was to be my mother tongue like Spanish, and learning languages that are somehow related with it, so it's easier.
Yeah, it's which other language that is interested for you? Do you for you?
um Actually, right now, with since the beginning of the COVID and the lockdown and everything, I started to get pretty interested by Italian. Also because same story, it's going to be easier for me because it's near to Portuguese, French, and Spanish. So it's something that I consider will arrive faster, rather than if I start, for example, with German. That it's also another language that I am planning to add to my repertory. But I am going to start with Italian because I consider it's going to be faster. I spent vacations there. Like I spent like 1 month in Italy, in the north of Italy, and I can say that at the end of that month, I was able to understand pretty much everything in Italian, due to my like the basis that I have in Portuguese, French, and Spanish. So I really consider that it's a language that will come fast enough. And I'm happy and excited about like becoming fluent in that language.
Okay.
Like we were speaking about Kanisha, like going and living in Italy. That's something I would be happy to do as well.
But how long does it take for you to learn languages? Like,
uh, I will say, for example, in terms of French, I became fluent in 1 year and a half. I would say, in 1 year and a half, I was able to express myself correctly, to find the words, to have good and the necessary vocabulary to express myself without just like messing up and mixing up everything. So I don't really think that there's like a specific average of time for each language that you are learning. I will say that it depends on the context, if you're living in the country or not, how many hours do you dedicate to it, how motivated you are by learning that specific language.
mm,
It's like a matter of many factors. Yeah.
okay. So you consider that without living abroad, you could be still fluent in a certain language.
Yeah, I really really think that, and it was actually my experience with Portuguese, because I visited, yes, but I didn't have the opportunity, like for example with France, like actually being in the place, like being based in the place, if you know what I mean. So I really consider that right now, with technology, with everything that exists around you, you have the tools. It's just that I consider that as humans we always manage to find like excuses for not doing something, you know. It's like, I will do it later, it's fine, we're locked down for 3 months, so I will do it next month, it's not a problem. You want to do it, if you want to do something, you need to do it now, or you're never going to do it. So that's what I think. I just think that people is lazy, and that there's no, that's true. I consider that everyone has the same capacity and the same capabilities to learn languages. It's just that people, it's not passionate in the same way about it. So that's the thing.
But somehow your tips is like as well, you need to be disciplined and committed with
Yeah,
what you're
totally.
doing, right? So
Actually, right now, like speaking about languages, I would just like to speak about, for example, programming languages. Since right now I am working in tech, and technology is something that it's very interesting for me, even if it was something that I never considered for my life. I think taking into account cultural factors, when a girl cannot be in computer science, a girl cannot be interested in computers because it's something for boys, you know.
mm,
But after that, you realize that there's anything that it's meant to be for boys or girls, and that you can do everything that you want to do. So right now, I'm feeling very attracted about programming language, about being able to code in Python, in Java, and JavaScript. So I bought a book actually for learning and having the basis of computer science and learning how to code. And it's actually learning, it's like it's learning a language. If you know how to code in a certain programming language, you will notice that it's actually like learning Italian, German, Russian. It's actually a language. So that it's going to be one of my future projects if everything goes well. But yeah, that's something I would really like to do.
have you ever experienced loss in translation?
Okay, you're asking me if I really consider that for having a real relationship, like very strong relationship with someone, I should speak his or her
Yeah.
language, right?
Okay, yeah.
Um, um, to be honest with you, I really think yes. Like if you really want to, of course, it's possible to make friends and to maintain a relationship even if you are not speaking their language. But I consider that if you really want to get to know a culture completely, like 100%, you really need to learn the language. Like if you're in France and you don't know how to speak French, you will never get to know how French people are, how different their personality is, and how they see the world. You know, I don't know if it's the same situation for you, but before, I have a completely different perspective of French people before speaking French, and right now that I am fluent in French.
Ah, yeah.
So I I would say, you really understand the way they see life, you know, and it's because I will say that my culture it's very different to the French one in many factors that we could discuss by like many hours. But still, I really consider that it's very important to try to make an effort, and at least if you really want to strengthen a relationship, you need to at least make the effort to know the basis, and to I remember it's a person that goes like in like the real meaning of that's like someone that walks without like an objective, without
The,
uh
yeah.
yeah,
Specifically.
exactly. I don't even know how to explain it in English, you know. So
Yeah.
we don't have a word like that. We don't have, for example, the word crapoter, that it's when someone is smoking and does not really know how to smoke, but it's like the fake smoke when they don't really uh, take the smoke to their lungs. We don't have that word in Spanish. And there's million of examples like that in every language that you cannot translate, and you only until you learn the language and you understand the context, you understand that it's impossible to translate it, and you would have never learned something that there's like a description or a word to say that. So that's something very interesting about languages as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting
Being
perspective.
fluent,
And
I don't consider that you need to have the best level of the world in all the languages. You just really need to know how to express decently, how to express yourself decently. And for me, you are already fluent in that language and you're already able to communicate something that you want to say. So that's why I really encourage people that think and really say that they're not good at learning languages because they cannot imitate the accent, because they just sound to, for example, in our case, two Latinos when they speak English. That's not important at all, and it's not important if you don't have the perfect um, grammar in your head and if you don't know all the words in the world, because it's impossible. You're never going to become like native speaker of all the language that you learn. So just like start learning and it will come, like fluency will come, and you're fluent when you can just express yourself directly. That's the thing. I want to emphasize that I don't consider that you need to be in the country for actually learning a language. So you have like a lot of tools. I mean, you can even make friends through internet. That
I
could be.
think if your intention is or professional experience, I think yeah, as you said, I think not going to that particular country. I think it's a matter of your intention and your aim, right? I think
Yeah,
if you reach to have that particular soul that integrated with you, maybe you have to go and travel abroad, like somehow language speaking several languages is a form of traveling as well, no?
yeah, that's true. Also, you're able to visit other countries without even realizing you are doing it.
Exactly, exactly. So, Maria, what's your quotes that you live by?
I will say that the quote that I live by, it's always that I don't really think that there's people more talented than others. I just believe that it's a matter of motivation and of passion about doing things. I think that everyone has the same capability and capacity to do everything. Uh, and the only requirement for succeeding is to be motivated and be passionate about what you're going to start doing.
So, thank you, Maria, for sharing your experience. And I hope people get inspired to learn more languages. And I hope people do understand that we all have the same capabilities on doing things, because basically dedication and motivation is the primary key to do all the things. So, thank you very much once again.
You're welcome, and thanks to you for inviting me to make part of this very, very nice project that you are working in. And yeah, I really hope someone feels at least a bit of motivation to start, and that they will start today and not tomorrow. Thank
Exactly.
you.
Great, not tomorrow. Okay, then. Thank you, Maria.
Bye.